Hey Flosstube, this is Christy, Salty Stitcher. It is September 25th, Saturday, and this is Flosstube number 19. Welcome back to my returning viewers. If you just found me, welcome. This is a channel about cross stitch. I hope you will stay a while and subscribe. So I am so excited today because I have a bunch of FFOs to show you. A few weeks ago, I took 3 projects to the framers. I think you've seen them finished before, but they're finally framed. They're beautiful. They're behind some glass. So I'm pretty excited to show them to you. I have not posted them on Instagram. So if you're watching this video, maybe during the weekend, you'll be the first to see them. But first, I wanted to adopt a segment that a few Flosstubers do. I wanted to talk about my best new things of the week. My first best new thing is, I know I'm a little late to the party, but if you have not seen Ted Lasso on Apple TV Plus, just what a great show, great writing, serious at times, but a little bit of comedy thrown in there. It's just a fantastic TV show. I highly encourage that. Second thing I wanted to mention was Brie Stitch's interview with Jacob of Modern Folk Embroidery. I just loved, it was a feature film, hour and 45 minutes or so, but it was fantastic. I just have so much respect for both Brie Stitches and Jacob. If you haven't seen his patterns, go to his website. I'll link it below. Take a look. They're just so much fun. Lots of Quaker motifs and other things. And then Brie Stitches, she does an interview with Flosstubers. I've yet to catch up, but she has a ton of interviews out there that I know that you will enjoy. So go check her out as well. Let's see, I also watched a few Flosstube videos from the week. Wanted to give a special shout out to Darcy and his wife Melissa. I just loved your video. And I think, Melissa, I think you would make a great Flosstuber. So I think you should try it out. That is my vote, and I am sticking with it. And finally, I learned this week that Australia is opening. Now, some of you know that my husband lives in Australia. It's a long story. I won't go into it here, but he lives in Australia. And I have not seen him since May, since our last trip to Hawaii. So I am so excited that Australia may be opening to vaccinated individuals at the end of December. So hopefully I will be able to travel there for a couple weeks, which will be so exciting. It'll just be new landscape, new folk coverage patterns. I get to see my husband, which is always a bonus. And it's also our 20th wedding anniversary this year in December. So hopefully I'll be able to celebrate with him this year. Let's see. Oh, I said finally, but it's not. I lie. One more thing, best new thing. So I was watching Jan Hicks' discussion with the Director of Curation and Collections at the Museum of Idaho. And as I was watching, I was just making notes for this Flosstube, listening. I'm always into learning new things, especially about cross stitch, needlework, needle art, textiles. And I looked up just as Wendy Petros, who is the Director of Curation Collections, was showing a hair wreath. This blew me away. I don't have a picture of it. I'm not going to steal Jan's thunder, but if you've never seen a hair wreath, I encourage you to go on over to Jan's channel and check out the latest video. It blew me away. Never seen one. I did not know the history behind it, and now I do. So thank you, Jan, for opening my mind to something new. And thanks for the great video. Lastly, I went to my local Embroideries Guild of America local chapter in Long Beach, our meeting today, monthly meeting. I absolutely love sitting with the ladies for a few hours and chatting. There's always so much wisdom and knowledge between all of the women there. It just happens to be all women. And their projects are so beautiful. A couple had some new beaded projects, which were so intricate. I just loved it. There's always something to learn. So any chance, any opportunity I can go and sit with them for a little while. Outdoors, of course, would be, it's just a treat for me. So those are my best new things / life update. I think I kind of combined them. All right, I'm going to pause for a second. You probably won't see a difference, but I'm going to pause here just so I can get my FFOs ready to go for you. Okay, I'm back. So my first FFO, so you've seen the Persian marriage rug before. I mentioned that, oh, that's a bad glare. I mentioned that it's my husband and it's our 20th wedding anniversary this year in December. I already talked about the story behind the Persian marriage rug, so you can go back to one of my videos and take a look. There we go. But here's the finished product. I chose to frame it in a nice white frame with a blue border just to bring out some of the blue stitching. There we go. That's a little better. And again, you know I love big, bold colors, so this is the finished product. I think I forgot to trim some threads, so probably rookie mistake on my part, but if you ever are framing a piece and you do have some stray threads on the back, go ahead and trim them close if you don't already have that, or else they're going to end up mounted on the frame. Now, they offered to take it all apart and fix it, but honestly, that is my mistake. I did not want them to do any more work to it. It is, you know, perfect yet imperfect, and I think everyone can agree, everyone who is married knows that no marriage is absolutely perfect. So I think it represents perfectly. That makes sense. Okay. Anyway, Persian marriage rug back from the framers. Pretty excited. My second FFO was Island Walkabout. And FFO is fully finished object, if you're new to the channel. Island Walkabout. This one I am so pleased with the framing. I love I chose a double matte. I chose a black and gold frame, which seems to pick up the lava, pick up the gold and the pineapple, and then the mattes pick up the other colors. I think it's just perfect for a Hawaiian piece. So this is how Island Walkabout turned out. I stitched this on 40 count. Zweigart linen base. I don't know the color. And I used Weeks Dye Works threads on it. Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's going up in the craft room. And at some point I am going to do a video of the craft room. I just need to get it organized because now I have almost all of my Needlework Expo releases fully finished up there and hanging. So I do want to do a tour of everything hanging. Okay, let's see. And my final FFO that came back. So this is a story about Maya Angelou, not her life, but about my design. So I designed I fell in love with this quote from Dr. Maya Angelou. And I designed the project. I was so excited. I stitched it up, submitted it to CMG Worldwide for rights clearance to use the quote. And they came back and said, great, here's your contract. Congratulations, but we prefer you use a different quote. So I redesigned ahead of Needlework Expo. I obviously followed their directions, followed the wishes of the family and the lawyers, and changed the quote. And I've yet to restitch it. So this is what I'm calling Maya Angelou Take One in terms of stitching. I am not getting rid of the original project. I still love the quote as it's stitched on this project. But just know that the quote that is on the current patterns is slightly different. And the pattern is just a tad bit bigger. But this is Maya Angelou take 1. She is back from the framers. That's not good. There we go. If you are stitching Maya Angelou, you'll notice that this is just a little bit different, but the motifs are similar. And I love the simplicity of the frame. Maya Angelou take 1, stitched on 40 count Fortnite fabrics, and stitched with Gentle Art sampler threads. And I did put some beading in the hearts. It's hard to tell. I don't think you can tell, but optional beading in each heart. So I'm thrilled with Maya Angelou take 1. She is going to go in my craft room, and I am getting ready to start Maya Angelou take 2, just so I have a model stitch of the actual pattern. But it's going to look remarkably similar to this one, just with the updated quote in the center. Okay, and those are my FFOs. I'm going to pause so I can get my whips together because I only have a small table here. So be right back. Okay, I'm back for some whips. So the first whip I'm going to show you, you're familiar with. I showed it last week. It was the lions, and I'll put a picture in of the finished pattern, either at the beginning or the end. But I put about 300 stitches in the lions, and I'm still working on this half page. So I'm slowly moving over across this page. Again, my stated goal for the lions is to finish by December. I don't know if I'm going to finish 7 pages by then, but I'm certainly gonna try. The reason I haven't put more stitches in this is because of the next whip that I will show you that I'm really excited about and happy to stitch. So this is the lions, and I think you can see this is how far I am. So I was going down first and then across, and then I decided to try and make it all the way across the page. I think after 2.5 years, I was having some paranoia that I was going to run out of room. So I went all the way across, and I'm glad I measured twice at the beginning, because I have about 1.5 inches on either side, which kind of scares me, but I don't intend to frame it. So I think there's just enough for me to turn this more into a quilt or a tapestry. I think I'm going to use Aunt Judy to help me with that. But anyway, here are the lions, and I'm moving across for the second row to finish up the second row. More to follow on the lions next week. My second whip, so there's a little bit of a story, so bear with me. So a friend asked me to create a custom wedding sampler for them. And the goal, and they don't watch this video, so the bride and the groom, I don't think watch this video, so that's okay. So I'm going to show it. So they asked for a bride and a groom standing in front of the Dallas skyline. And they asked me to commission the project. So create it, chart it, stitch it. And the colors of the wedding are juniper and gold. So I was pretty thrilled with that. What I ended up doing is I found 2 patterns and ended up combining those 2 patterns. So this is not my original artwork, but I did bring a number of patterns together and threw in a few extra motifs to create this wedding pattern, which I really enjoy. So it's a combination of the Dallas skyline with the reflection of it, with the bride and groom's name in the middle, the date of their wedding, and then the bride and the groom with the dress kind of overflowing. And then I added a few extra motifs, a few corner motifs, and this is the computer generated mock-up. So I'm really excited about this. I'm found this fabric may look familiar to you. I actually got the perfect color in the mock-up. This is the same fabric that I used on Under the Sea. It is Weeks Dye Works Seafoam, 36 count. And I had a hank of Silks for You PR 149. And I'm using that in the Big Red Ship of Life. And I'm using that gold thread as part of the mast in the Big Red Ship of Life. But anyway, so I'm a little concerned that, I mean, I love this pattern. I'm a little concerned I'm not going to finish it by November, which is the goal. I want to get it to them stitched and get it to them in November so they have a little bit of time to frame it the way that they want to. So I've been putting a lot of effort into this project, into stitching this project, and this is where I am so far. So I have the 2 corner motifs. I have the bride almost, or the groom, and then almost the bride's dress. I was working on her headpiece there, and I just started stitching the top of the Dallas skyline. So I'm pretty thrilled. This thread. I've fallen in love with this, with the Silks for You PR 149. The variegation is gorgeous. And it's almost like dark golds, light golds, and then rose golds. Which is pretty cool. So I'm trying to power through this stitch. I think it's going to be absolutely beautiful. Hopefully I can get a great picture when they give it to the bride and the groom. I will not be posting this on Instagram because I believe the groom is on Instagram and paying attention to that, but I doubt he's watching my Flosstube videos. So this is the wedding project. We'll just call it the wedding project. This is not going to be available in my store. I did purchase 2 separate patterns to create this pattern, so I don't intend on selling it. It's not my artwork, but I am stitching it and giving it to my friends so they can use it as a gift. Pretty exciting, more to follow. I'll show this in my Flosstube videos. And the third sampler, or I'm sorry, third whip that I have is Peruvian Flair's Cat's Reflection sampler. I think you've seen this out there. I adore this this pattern. I'm stitching this one on 40 count. Look at it. It's the rest of the piece of the 40 count Zweigart linen that I have, and I'm using cherry wine, and the color is escaping me. I want to say Classic Color Works, but I'll double check that. But this is where I am so far. I'm almost done with Cat's Reflection sampler. Again, love the variegations. Probably one of my favorite reds. But I love how this is coming out. I haven't decided how to finish it yet. Probably make it into a small pillow. Oh, you can see that is William, my kitty. He's about 4 years old. He is going to his napping spot for the day. And I have a big beanbag chair called a love sack, and that is just his favorite place. He's going to settle in there for the day. Okay, so those are my whips. Okay, I'm going to pause the video one more time just so I can move the whips off the table, and we'll do some shop announcements, and I'll show you my new design. Okay, moving on to my new design. I am so excited to be able to show you my nautical sampler. I named it Nautical Sampler, the Clamphor Down, and I'll tell you why in a moment. I've hinted at this one for a few weeks now. I finally put the finishing touches on it. So it's the Nautical Sampler. She has a stitch count of 310 by 232. I use sulky colors to design this pattern. So there are 12 sulky colors, which I'll show you in a minute. If you stitch this on 40 count linen, it will be 15 inches by 11.5 inches. And if you stitch this on 36 count, it'll be 17 inches by 13 inches. So she's pretty big, but I wanted to get this quote in. And the quote is, she had a bow gun of 100 ton and a great stern gun beside. They dipped their noses deep in the sea. Thy racked thy stays and stanchions free in the wash of the wind whipped tide. And I just absolutely loved that quote. It came from a book a friend gave me when I departed my last unit, Departmental Ditties in Barracks Room Ballads by Runyard Kipling. This book, it's a real old book, original, I think it's a reprint, but it was published, last copyright was in 1899. And the poem is called The Ballad of the Clamford-Down. Now there are 18 verses. Let me make sure I got that right. Yeah, there are 18 verses in this poem, and it's essentially a fictitious story of a warship, British Royal Navy warship. And it was basically about not quitting. The poem, through 18 verses, goes through their excitement about leaving, the pride in the ship. They get underway, they go fight a battle. They get beat badly by the French. Their ship is about to sink, but before it sinks, they abandon ship, they jump on the French ship and they take it over and end up being victorious and take over the other ship. So the quote in each motif represents sailors' pride in their ship. It represents hope. It represents strength, abundance. Some of the motifs are traditional, others are not, but all of them are meaningful to me. So you'll see we have the nautical alphabet at the top. There's a compass, Southern Cross, some fish jumping. We have obviously the warship in the center. The parrot is overseeing the basket of fruit and the pineapple, which I love on each side. I just love the parrot. The pelicans, you know that pelicans are my favorite bird. They're flying around and they're diving in to eat. You have the kingfisher, who obviously got his next meal. Some more nautical flags on the bottom. The ones on the bottom represent numbers and what we call the first, second, and third substitute flags. And then, of course, I put my initials and the year that I designed it, but you can always customize that for you. And then I have some of my favorite sea creatures that line the bottom that are always watching us as we sail on the surface of the ocean. So the border is just a very traditional wave style border and with some anchors in each corner. So this is my newest nautical sampler, Clamford-Down. It is available through your local needlework shop. So if you want to stitch this, go ahead and request it through them. And I'm happy to announce, so excited to announce that my patterns are now available at Yarn Tree as a distributor. So if you'd like this pattern, you can request it through your needlework shop, and your needlework shop can get it through Yarn Tree if they prefer to order through them instead of directly to me. Oh, before I go though, I do want to show you the fabric that I am going to stitch it on. So I am going to start this probably tomorrow. This is a salt marsh green fabric, 40 count. I don't know, that's kind of a better representation of the color. It's yeah, it's a nice green. I think it looks like maybe a worn sail might look. And then I did a test stitch with all of the sulky colors. Here are all the sulky threads. And I had a few different, there we go. That looks exactly like what it is. So here are the sulky colors, the 12 colors. And there's the test stitch on this particular this particular fabric. So I love the colors, big, bold, and they seem, and they're going to pop out on the salt marsh green. I have to go back and look at the manufacturer of this fabric. I think it was a one-off that I found at Beach Cottage Stitchers. But if we can get it, I will link it below also. So that is my new design. Again, show it one more time. So excited. So excited. Yep, I told you. Oh, so all of the patterns that I showed today, the Island Walkabout, Persian Marriage Rug, Maya Angelou, Under the Sea, all of my new patterns that were at Needlework Expo, available at Needlework Expo, they're still available on the Needlework Expo site. Shops can still go there for about a month after Needlework Expo and order them. So if you're interested in stitching them, go to your favorite needlework shop and ask them to purchase it. I'm giving the stores a couple months grace period so that they can sell the product in their store. But I will put them on my website for retail purchase probably by the end of October is my goal. So yeah, so that is my new design, nautical sampler. You'll see a lot more of her because I'm going to start stitching her here shortly. And let's see, I do have some haul. We'll run right into haul. My first haul was a download from Satsuma Street by Jody Rice. I don't have many Christmas patterns. I'm doing the stitch along, the Tiny Modernist stitch along, holiday stitch along. So I'm working on that. But I fell in love with Christmas Cat by Satsuma Street. And I'm sure you've seen this before. I'm trying to remember if it's a new design, but I just love the cat there sitting in front of the tree with the presents. Kind of looks like he did something wrong. So I don't know about that, but if there's a cat in a tree, my guess is that he probably just got done climbing it and is now trying to look innocent. And maybe so, because here you have the, one of the balls from the tree. So he looks like he got into a little bit of trouble, which I love because that's what cats do. So Christmas Cat, I am going to stitch Christmas Cat. I happen to have a red fabric like that. So I just need to kit it up, pull out the red fabric and start stitching Christmas Cat. It's going to be a great addition. I got a new needle minder. This was from Grandma Girl Designs, Erica Estrada. I love this. Her saying is modern stitching for old souls. I love that. I just read that on her card. I could not pass this up. So if you don't like language, if you have kids in the room, have them look away now. It's not that bad, but it is, a little saltier for my channel. But yeah, don't be a salty, and I'll let you finish the rest. But it is, it looks like similar to the Morton salt container, and I just thought it was nice and snarky and kind of fit my mood this week, so I purchased it. I also purchased some new needles from Sullivan's. I fell in love with the Easy Guide ball tip needle. I know some folks have already showed this, but if you haven't tried the ball tip needle for cross stitch, I know it's probably not good for embroidery, but I think my perfect size for the projects that I'm doing is a size 26. They come 2 to a pack, made in the USA. Fantastic needle. And in my, I'm reaching over in my quest to find a juniper fabric to stitch the wedding project on. I made a bunch of purchases of all different colors of what I thought juniper might look like. And because I was under such a time crunch, I just ordered all of them. Now I'll find things to stitch on these because these are gorgeous. But the first one is a duck egg cross stitch fabric, 30 by 30. Oh, Jackson Fabric Arts is the shop that I purchased. Sarah Jackson. This was a fun fabric. I really liked this, but wasn't quite perfect for that project, but I just loved how this turned out. It is, looking at it, I want to say it's 36 count. I only purchased 36 count or 40 count. So I think this is 36 count, just looking at it. Again, beautiful color. That was the first one. Second one, I went a little bit darker. Same manufacturer, I believe. Yep. I went the darker version of that, and I absolutely love this fabric. I love the color. It probably has my favorite color of blue in it. So when I was out on my ship looking out on the water day in and day out, I had this favorite blue. And when I came across it, I just couldn't stop looking at the ocean. And it's this blue right in here, possibly a little darker, maybe like that blue. But I will find a project to stitch this on because this is just a gorgeous fabric. So excited I came across that. He also sent me a swath of the really dark version, the darkest version, which is really pretty, pretty as well. I think if I had a really small pattern, I could stitch it on this. Maybe this is my, so Ymir, Almond M&M stitches 1/1. And I think this is the perfect little scrap fabric to try my hand in 1/1. Yep, pretty blue. Jackson Fabric Arts. And then finally, well, not finally, finally for fabric, ended up on an Etsy store overseas, Nicholas Flamel design, and I got some 32 count linen. There were two that came. One was called the Bronte Sisters collection. Bronte Sisters collection. And this was a nice blue. This almost looks like a, it's really picking up the purples in there in the light blues, but it almost looks like faded blue jeans. And then the second one that came with it, it has more of a green tint. All very beautiful, good quality fabric. And then the same store, this is the Song of Sirens duo or collection. And here another blue with some modeling. Looks similar to the other ones, but I would say it's kind of that in between. It's not helping. That in between. So now I have a light, a dark, and kind of a middle one. And then this one is really fun. This has pinks and blues. I really like this one. Yeah, again, just building up my fabric stash as I design things, just to have different ideas. So this is the Song of Sirens from Nicholas Flamel Designs, and these are 32 count linens. And then finally, I was most excited. I think I squealed a little bit to get this one, to get this in the mail. So excuse my reach. Oh, but before I go to that one, I did get a book. As I was thinking about how to design the wedding project, I ordered Do It Yourself Stitch People. This is the second edition by Elizabeth, and I can't pronounce that name, but Elizabeth Bean. So I bought the book Stitch People, which I was just flipping through the other day, and it was a lot of fun. So many variations, so many ideas of hairstyles. Not going to show you the patterns, but different, every dress you can think of, every suit. There's even a section for animals, different animals and ferrets, and oh my gosh, this is just so much fun. And there are a few sample patterns in the back with them stitched. Like really, how cute is that? Anyway, loved receiving this book. Great quality, book, spiral bound. Will lay flat, which is really nice if you're trying to work on something, work on the pattern. I mean, there are tuxes in here. Oh my God. I could spend all day looking through this. Little babies. The dogs are so cute. Anyway, do it yourself, stitch people. If you're a designer, probably a must-have in your collection. I thought it was fun. Okay, so excited to receive this one. Squealed a bit when I received it. I'm gonna pop it open just a little bit. I know some folks have already showed this, but I'm gonna show it again. Hang on. Oh, okay. So my Glendon Place Poltergeist Pirates arrived. This was one of my New York Expo orders. Designed by Cheryl Granda. She's a big piece, 300 by 250. This is stitch area. But I just love this. I think my favorite motif is that parrot, that skeleton parrot on the front. A little bit of a glare, apologize for that, but I won't rattle the bag anymore. So I purchased all of the things. I went crazy. I bought the hand-painted fabric that it goes on. The buttons. The Rainbow Gallery thread pack, which I'm just going to show the bag. So some of it is silk lame braid. And then the rest of it is Sullivan's thread pack. So I won't take it all out, but there are all of the colors. So, and then I did purchase a needle minder to go with it, a little cat, flowered cat. So I'm pretty excited about Glendon Place's Poltergeist Pirates. This is going to be probably an October start. I'm not a big Halloween fan. I don't dress up anymore. I don't really put candy out. I know some people absolutely love it. Not my holiday, which is okay. But I love this pirate ship. So if I am going to stitch a Halloween pattern, it is this one. So I will jump on the bandwagon and start stitching some Halloween, probably October 1st. So I think that is it for today. Hopefully it wasn't too long. If you're still here, thanks for sticking with me. Oh, Charity of the Month. A reminder, Charity of the Month for September is Refugees International. I'm still donating a portion of all of my sales and donations to Refugees International, up to roughly $150, $160. So I'm pretty thrilled about that. At the end of each month, I make a one-time donation. I will put the link in the bottom if you want to donate to them directly. I vetted the organization. It is a fantastic organization. Has 5 stars for charitable organizations. So it's a good one. The money that you donate goes towards helping refugees who come into the United States back on their feet. And I feel like that's a relevant topic these days. So anyway, Refugees International is my charity of the month. I do have a buy me a coffee link, more like buy me a frame. but a portion of those donations also go to Refugees International. And all of the money that you donate goes back into my business in one way or the other. So I appreciate any donation that you give me. Obviously not required, but it keeps the business up and running. Thanks, everyone. I will see you next week for Flosstube number 20 next week. But thanks for joining. If you're still here, please subscribe, please like, please leave me a comment. When I get to 200 subscribers, I am going to do a giveaway. So I'll tease you with that. Anyway, see you next week. Bye.